Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Taylor. I am a Masters player. Um, I got Masters last set, but I was able to hit Masters much sooner this set. And yeah, I'm just looking for some coaching because I think I need some help getting to the next level. And I'm from Canada, I guess, if that matters.
Wonderful. This game was a bit of a mess. I'm reading your description. This
Yeah, yeah.
game was a bit of a mess. I did not know where I was going comp wise. I ended up going 4 Form Swapper, 3 starring my Loris and Swain for some odd comp that landed me fourth. I want to review this video to better understand the other directions I could have taken that might result in a higher placement, to understand mistakes I made and how to improve them, and how to pick lines and commit while remaining slightly flexible based on the use you find. Okay. Amazing. All right. I'm going to go ahead and share my POV with you.
Okay.
So that way, and I'm gonna use low settings here just so it doesn't, because I'm streaming. Just walk me through the early game. We'll toss some questions back and forth. Like I'll ask you, what are you doing here?
Sure.
You tell me what's going on, just so that I understand your perspective on things, because I want to understand how you view TFT in your spot, so that way I get more context.
Sure, that makes sense. If I recall correctly, I think this was Warwick's Hunger.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, fun, love, favorite. It's my favorite
Yeah,
encounter.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
great. So ideally, I want to try to win streak or mixed streak to at least try to kill as many units as possible because I obviously want to take advantage of the potential econ. And I'm looking for a comp that caps really high. So that's kind of my idea going into it. That's how I approach Warwick's Hunger. Here, I'm just kind of grabbing units that synergize with what I currently have. So I grab Aurelia for Sentinel. I grab, what do I have? Oh yeah, I grab Maddie because Enforcer, as well as
Hmm.
Loris.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I
ignored Powder. Yeah, I ignored Powder and Amumu and Morgana just because it doesn't really fit, and that's what I have.
okay.
Yeah, here, so yeah, pick up Singe because I've got because we got some Sentinels, which is always good to have. Potentially 3-star, or sorry, 2-star the Singed. I have obviously Rod and Tier, so AP seems to be most likely, which is what I'm thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Sword, so for me, I'm thinking, okay, great, I've got Shojin if I want to slam that for tempo, which is always something that I try to do. Whatever I'm in these kind of these encounters, trying to look for high tempo items. So augment. So I didn't at 2-star any of my 1 cost, which is usually what I look for when I'm trying to think about if I want to play for like a win streak or mixed streak.
Yep.
So I'm kind of not super strong right now. And for augment selection, I generally go with, I think, a rule that you and Dishop mentioned on your podcast, which is like for stage 2, econ, and then items, and then combat. Not like it's a hard and fast rule, but generally I try to follow that.
Mm-hmm.
For me, Academy Crest is kind of useless. I don't have any of the Academy units, although I do have Sentinels. I don't have Academy units. I'm looking at Patient Study and What Doesn't Kill You. Although What Doesn't Kill You is a loose streak augment, it does give me econ, which is nice. I don't have a strong board, so I can't really play for a win streak or at all. And Patient Study, I think, gives you some flexibility with like win or loss, or it's like a generic econ augment, so it gives you a bit of like flexibility with mix or loss or win. Like you can get value from all of it. Mostly loss, obviously, but mixed streak probably is still fine.
Okay. Got it.
So I re-roll Academy Crest. One for All I just ignore because I don't have any. I don't think I wasn't leaning towards like a 1-cost reroll here. I didn't really have a direction anyway, so I was just thinking that would have confused me. So I picked the Lost Streak.
Copy that. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and yeah, so I am kind of. I guess I was a little bit scouting, but I guess I was just. I'm like counting my units to see how much gold I have. So I was debating, I guess, whether I sell them to try to make 10. But I decided not to. But I didn't level, so I was thinking, oh, yeah. So, and fun thing, I load up to someone who also has the same augment that I did, which is
Huh.
fun. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So, and I slammed Shojin because in my mind, although I wanted a lose streak, I was thinking that okay, I at least want to try to kill at least a unit or two to like get some value of Warwick's Hunger. But I think I made my board a little too strong. So especially because I had like a Nunu on the board. So I probably should have sold that to like try to make econ to like hit 10. while preserving.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was my thinking there.
Okay. Do we
Yeah,
just out of curiosity, do we know what the
Yeah.
academy items are?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually don't know.
Okay.
I don't think I check in this game.
Understood. Understood. I just wanted because I just noticed the locks in the shop as well.
That's a good point. Yeah. Do you generally think that like would you ever take Academy Crest even if you don't have, like,
Heavily
all
depends on
units?
what the first item is. Heavily depends.
Oh, I see what you
On
mean.
the first
Okay.
item because because that's the item you have to play off of with the first few items. So if it's like, let's say it was archangels or nashers, then I would consider that because you have a shojin. So
That's a good point. I didn't consider
but if it's
that.
like bramble, it's like okay, probably like
Probably
no.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, here I'm just making sure I still got my 2 pairs of Singed. I play Loris because he's Enforcer, but I don't want to like make too many synergies because I don't want to necessarily like I want to commit to the loss streak. Like I know in my mind, since I still need 4 losses in a row to get my component, I'm thinking okay, let's still try to loss streak for the next few rounds to get the component before 2-7. Okay, Parasol. So I had a rod, so I was thinking of JG or a belt from Morello because belt is pretty flexible. So I think I was leaning Morello, but obviously I didn't get that. So I think I went with a generic vest, a vest just for a potential tank or like a frontline item eventually, and also for the econ for the 3 cost speech.
Yeah.
Cloak might have been a better choice just because obviously I could have potentially had Spark. Because I know sometimes in early game I try to because I tend to forget by the end of the game to make like anti-heal and shred and sunder. I like try to remember early game to try to go for that when I can, if it's reasonable. Oh, and then here I just like reposition to make my board weaker, so I guarantee the 4th loss.
Copy.
Because I do not want to lose that that item. That would have been really bad. So yeah. Okay, yeah. So lost. Got my. Oh wait, that was the 3rd one. Sorry.
That was
Yeah,
the third
I
one.
think-
But
yeah,
the point
okay,
still
yeah,
stands.
I think I was. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's nothing else too much with these 2 rounds. I think I'm just like trying to hold, I guess, potential pairs and units. I don't know why I kept the Nunu. I'll be quite honest. I think probably could have sold it. Oh yeah, here's where I weaken my board, just in case I fight someone who's potentially too weak. Although I probably should have scouted and looked. Oh no, no, I don't know. I think it was the 7th place person. I was like concerned about him, so I was like, okay, I need to weaken my board enough. So
Okay.
I don't win.
I'm following. I'm following. You do a good job scouting. Would you consider yourself good at scouting?
I am pretty decent at it. I tend to get wrapped up in the moment of what I'm trying to do that I forget sometimes. So I think it's something I could improve upon.
Yeah, you and me both, man.
It's hard to do. It's too many things to do at once. Oh my gosh. Oh, I think I eventually sell my like my units on the board, or I think I buy Swain. I know I do know I buy Swain, because I think I had because I had AP items, especially with like my components I got. Like I had like 2 rods, sorry, a rod, 2 rods, a bow, tier, and a glove. I was like, okay, I've got lots of AP, and then I somehow get a 2-star Swain. So I was like, okay, well that's like fate. Like I really need to like lean into this. So here because I wanted to slam some shreds, so I got Shiv, and then I think I was debating about Rabadons or JG, and I think I chose Rabadons because I wanted to make frontline with instead of doing Crown Guard, I wanted to do Steadfast. So yeah, this is kind of a pivotal point in the game where I changed. Picking up that Swain, getting it 2-star, kind of led me down the direction of like, okay, what can Swain do for me in a comp?
Okay.
Okay. Oh, by the way, let me know if I'm yapping too much or if you
No, you're good. You're good. You're doing great. You're doing great. I think people are enjoying it. We're gonna basically do
good.
all 3 augments just to give you a glimpse of how we're gonna be doing it. I want to basically pause after the 4-2 augments, and then we're gonna do like the first half of the game and review and talk about things. But I'm just like right now observing, and it's really helpful so far. Okay, so let's talk about these augment choices here.
Okay, awesome. So Titanic Titan I generally only take if I'm like going for Chem Baron or like a one of those econ traits from past sets. So I ignored that. I wasn't necessarily interested. Mentorship. If I recall correctly, I think it's a good augment with like a reroll comp, or like if you have like lower cost units you want to buff.
Hmm.
So I wasn't doing that, so it didn't make sense to me. Blistering Strikes seemed the most interesting because it gives me anti-heal immediately, which I liked. Just having access to that. And I know Swain's ability, I do like the fact that it like hits backline units as well. So getting burned to the backline was really attractive.
Yeah.
So I roll the third and the second one, Mentorship and Titanic Titan, and I think I just ended up taking Blistering Strikes. I forget what the other two options were, but I don't think they were ideal for my spot.
Yeah. For what it's worth, by the way, I know I say a lot that mentorship is good for reroll, but like it's also fine. Like I think silver is fine as a generic combat if you have a way to play off of it meaningfully. So let's say, for example, you're playing off Ziggs in Black Rose. It's actually a spot for because mentorship actually buffs the Scion, and then you can also buff like the Ziggs, you know, and then you can have like a 4-cost Garen buffing a Blitz. That's holy right. So there's situations you can. Mentorship 1 and 2 are not to be compared to exactly 1-to-1, but you oftentimes can. Just remember that because you're a more advanced player than some of the other people I talk to. I try to give like general broad things. But like when you start playing at Masters and you're trying to excel the GM, you have to start differentiating silvers and golds.
That's a really
it's
good
not
point.
it's not the same. And that applies
Yeah,
to
but
golds and prismatics as well, obviously, but something to think
yeah. No, that's a really good point. I didn't consider that. Yeah.
about.
Oh yeah, lineup. Correct me if I'm wrong. Lineup is ideal for like AD fighter comps because like you want to have all them in the front line, and so you want to give them some armor resistances.
Okay.
Restart mission didn't make sense because like it could have given me a potential board direction, which maybe was good for me, but
Yeah.
it's a little I don't know. I think it's a little gambit at times. Like
Yeah, I feel that.
yeah. So I just chose something like simple that gives me anti-heal just with everything. So yeah, so that was kind of my idea. And from here, my mind is really thinking of like, okay, I naturaled a 2-star Swain. What can I do with this? And I was thinking that there is a like 4 emissary, 4 sork board that could be
Yeah, you've seen me
decent.
playing, huh?
Yeah, I think I've seen you. I think I've seen Disho. Actually, you know what's funny? I think I literally watched Disho play this like before I had this game.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
like I was like, okay, interesting. I might try this. But yeah, so I decided to think about that. Like at least like keep it an option because obviously 2-star Swain is to get to 3 stars. There's a lot more to go. So like if I don't hit any more, maybe it's like unnecessary. And then that does make sense to go there. But yeah, so I think I picked up a potential unit to play at 7. So like Tristana, it doesn't provide direct synergy with any. It gives emissary, which I thought was like decent to consider.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so I think going to Carousel, I was thinking of a good tank item, so I thought Belt is just generically good. I obviously don't need anti-heal, but obviously like Warmogs is pretty good for front lines, especially if I had like, I had like I had Loris, so I was like if I got a Sentinel, then like armor resistances would be good and health would be beneficial to that. So yeah, I think what do I do? Yeah, I think I just move stuff around, and I think this was my thinking of my best board, which was give myself the Conqueror for Swain. 3 Form Swapper is a bit odd, but I know Elise is pretty strong at this point, so I wasn't necessarily concerned of like having perfect synergies. I was just like, okay, Elise is a strong unit at this point, even if 1-starred. So I'm like, oh yeah, so yeah, I think I was just trying to like think of random units to be like, okay, this is potentially where I could go.
Yeah.
Like so like that's my think one of my toughest things with like sometimes when I play, if I don't have like immediate direction right off the bat, I'm like, okay, where do I go? Like, and trying to pick up a few units, like put it in my planner to keep an eye on helps, but I think that sometimes gives me too much room to work with. Like it's too broad, and then I get like lost in my roll down, which kind of what happens. I don't think I'm positioning for any other reason. Oh, I think maybe I just moved my rel forward. But yeah.
Oh, that Elise cast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very very helpful. I think that kind of helped me win the fight. Yeah. Yeah, so I think I'm also deciding to pick up like Gangplanks just because I have one on the board, and I think because I also naturaled the Elise, I was like, okay, 4 Form Swapper is like a potential. I can't ignore that. So yeah, that was my thinking at this point.
Got it.
Yeah, so my items are okay. Like I think I made Warmogs immediately. Because I didn't need Sunder. So I was just like, okay, I'll make Warmogs. And then then I started rolling down. Yeah, I was trying to like basically find emissaries and other units that I potentially could have needed. So and I think my thinking here was I rolled at 4-1 instead of like waiting to 4-2, even though maybe I wasn't necessarily the like I was maybe a little too poor. Is I wanted to keep up with the lobby because it was Warwick's Hunger. I was like, okay, I don't want to lose too much health, so I'm just gonna roll a bit to try to upgrade my front line to at least like kill some units, maybe win a fight or two to preserve my HP.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. Oh, and I got a duplicator, so I was like, okay, Swain seemed more attractive now because I had dupes.
Great.
Okay. I think Swain was kind of where I was going towards. So in my mind, I was like, okay, not today doesn't really make sense. Maybe be good on Embessa if I played for emissary, but I was kind of, and maybe I could have thought of a way to play that because I did have like BT and shop, or I could make a BT as well.
Right.
But I think my mind was racing at that point. I didn't think about it. So I rolled not today, and Clockwork Accelerator I also rolled because I was thinking I have a way to go to get to Swain 3, so I think I'm just gonna grab Heroic Grab Bag and just be like, okay, let me just give myself some duplicators to help make this easier.
Okay.
I do like Blazing Soul as a good combat augment. Like I really, it'd be kind of a great thing to take in this spot. But I think in my mind, I wasn't far enough along to like consider taking another combat.
Understood.
I think I needed, yeah. So I think I'm not sure quite. Oh, I think I'm trying to find other like emissaries to try to go for that. To go for 4 emissary if I could. I find the Rumble play that. I skipped the Mord. Yeah. I probably should pick that up. I think, yeah, I'm just trying to find. I think I was just trying to find Garen, and maybe I missed it, but I don't think I found it. So I was very like, I make BT because although it's not traditionally a tank item, I was like, I need to make some third tank item for Loris. I was like, okay, BT is like good enough.
Okay. Understood.
And the anti-heal with or the red buff, that was just kind of because it was all I had left over, and I wanted to get something else on the board.
Yeah.
Even though I already had Blistering Strikes.
And Rumble on the board.
And Rumble, I always forget that. It's like, I know Powder has it as well, but like, okay. Rumbles is more... Is Rumbles with his ability? Or
it's with his ability, yeah. But
okay, gotcha.
Don't worry, it's okay. This is a good pausing point. So let's go back, and now it'll be like my turn to kind of go.
Okay.
So the first thing that I kind of go through with everyone is, what does this portal meaningfully change about the way we approach the game? And it sounded like you were cognizant of it, but you weren't really factoring in nearly as much.
Okay.
Like, and so let me be a little bit more specific about that when it comes to. But I just want to put that there. So the first thing is that when it's Warwick's Hunger, we have to think about immediately what is our possible strongest units to hold. And I think you're, for the most part, trying to do that. You held, like, Nunu is not part of that. I would absolutely sell Nunu, but the problem is you'd be buying some pretty bad units here. Powder and Morg. Mumu was actually a good unit, but I think holding Nunu here is fine. But you didn't hold Zyra Pair. And I think that's something to think about when you're playing around your pairs. Your best setup here was Zyra Pair, Singe Pair, because if you hit either of those, then you actually have an AP start with Shojin and Rod, and you can play Singe 2, Zyra Pair, and then that actually is like an in to like start playing for tempo if you were to actually play for it. But you shouldn't be fielding this Nunu here. There's no upside to it. It actually only hamstrings your gold. Okay, augment choice here. Lose Streak and Warwick's Hunger tends to put you far behind, but what doesn't kill you is quite unique because it's unconditional Lose Streak. So if you do end up taking this, I actually think the correct play is to sell everything, because then you neutralize your opponent's gold advantage over you. And yes, you don't get gold for killing, but also you accelerate your gold dramatically while neutralizing some of their benefit from it. And then you can kind of choose when you spike. The downside of this is that people naturally push levels, so you're probably going to be taking on average about one, maybe almost one more damage per fight, which can be pretty scary. So I don't think I would do what doesn't kill you personally. Absolutely, I probably would consider the Academy crest, but I don't know what the Academy items are, so I can't really make that judgment. And if I were to pick anything else, I probably would pick patient study here. When you pick something like what doesn't kill you, you need to be thinking immediately, when is you're going to be your first spike? When you're playing Chem Baron, for example, is a very easy way that you think about it is stage 4, right? When 4-1 rolls around, I'm going to spike. But when you pick what doesn't kill you, it's almost like up to you when you want to spike in some ways. And you chose after stage 2. But when you take what doesn't kill you, you have to be planning around what is going to be your first meaningful improvement on your board. And it often either comes at beginning of stage 3 or at 3-5. And what I did, and so when that happens, if you're going to plan for a spike, you have to kind of lean immediately into that and make your first gold pretty aggressively, because your advantage for lose streaking early is to make your gold and have your right items. So in this case, I think that's why it's important for you to sell here. Another thing to think about is Shojin. Even though it's one of the most flexible items, if not the most flexible item besides like Warmogs and Sunfire, it does actually commit you to a handful of lines immediately, because some comps want Shojin and some comps don't. Like, for example, I don't think Corki wants a Shojin.
No,
but you could put it on like a Gangplank, but it's not, you know, you're more excited about like Infinity Edge and all this other stuff. For that same reason, selling things like Sentinels kind of actively works against that, because Sentinels is like one of the core compositions that will want to use something like Shojin. Just keep that in mind. And then like Bruisers, what does Bruisers tend to lean into? This is where I'm
it literally is just like Twitch.
It's like Twitch, and it's like Enforcers, and it's you know, maybe you could play some form swapper stuff, but not really. You have to be immediately thinking about what actually can build into that. So if you were holding things like, you know, the Sorcerers and the Sentinels, we would have a much better spot for it. So you have to hold things like Lux and Vex here. And
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So this is, and then that also goes to Ziggs here. Like Ziggs here has to be an always keep in this spot, like, because Ziggs is like you're always thinking about when your first spike is. So you're picking up Ziggs, you play Ziggs Trundle like over Nunu, and you're already gold neutral in that. Yeah, and this is assuming you are playing a board, but
no, that makes sense. Yeah, I think I played a Dom game not too long ago, and I basically used Ziggs 2 up until 9, and it's really good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this Nunu has taxed us a lot. He's taxed us gold, and he's taxing us the ability to hold things like Rel, Ziggs, which is very, very powerful. Which ends up being something that stops us from being able to full streak as well, because we kind of needed things like Rel pair off our Swain. So very similarly on this is we need to be thinking about what component we really want here, and it's bow. If we're not going to get belts, because we need to be thinking about ways we can make our Shojin amplified. And the number one thing, the reason why you took this is because of gold. And you're like, well, like I need a defensive component, and you're thinking about cloak, but you need to be thinking about going back to the core point. When is the first time you can decisively spike? And the first time you can decisively spike is when you upgrade your board and you have 3 items for your carry. And if you're in the spot where right now we're not really making progress on that, especially if defensive components drop, which, to be fair, I think later on in the game you end up having a little bit too many offensive items. But it's just something to think about. Like, bow is basically everything you could possibly want. It's utility, it's Nashers, it's like, you know, itemizing your carry. Because you also had another out that I don't think you considered, but you could also play Renata reroll from here.
Yes, I did not consider that for sure.
And bow opens you up to that as well, as opposed to vest. I guess vest could be crown guard, but you didn't hold that. So just something to think about.
What's your perspective on reroll lines in something like Warwick's Hunger?
I think it's fine as long as you spike on stage 3. I think if you if you're like, oh, I'm gonna like spike on stage 4, it's too late, because everyone's gonna basically be half a stage ahead in tempo.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, and also at this point, it's just like a sell to 50, just because
sell to 50. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just you're already committed, and I again, it's like one of those marginal things where like you could, but if someone just sells and traps their corner, you win, and it's just not worth it. And what you're holding isn't that good. I guess maybe, are you partial to Enforcers? Do you just like the line a lot?
I don't play it. I don't know. I don't necessarily know why I kept the Enforcers, to be very honest. Yeah, no, I really don't play it.
Got it. Yeah, if I would sell it, you would have enough gold to hold like Gangplank. But yeah, it's fine. this kind of something that you did do, but you should be playing off of your component drops. So like as you're dropping things with like thinking about like, okay, what's the next possible set of items that could drop for these components? So you have rod tier bow, and you should be holding your shops accordingly. So you shouldn't be holding like Camille. You should be holding like Morgana Vex. And also, this is just like a tip for 2 more days. You should always hold Nocturnes in this spot in case you hit Artifactory. But that's like something that's not going to be relevant in 2 days. So, but like you have so many components, right? So if you hit Artifactory, you're supposed to 100% rip it and then hold that Nocturne. But that's just like a small thing.
For sure. No, that makes sense.
Okay. Swain here. Swain is an amazing pickup. The only caveat is I really wanted to slam JG here because I think the JG is better for the potential of what we do if we don't want to reroll Swain. Deathcap here is like fine, and the way you chose your itemization is fine. It's just that I think I would prefer JG because if we were in a spot where we were to play around Dominators, Deathcap is significantly worse, like a lot worse. The other element of it is, yes, we have Swain too, but you also don't have to slam everything here. I know you do, but like you're playing what doesn't kill you, so it's like still somewhat incentivizing you to like lose. You're on 4 loss streak. And so I guess you slam. The logic could be like I slam because I think I can win streak this stage, which I think is fair. But it's one of those things. Just keep in mind that you don't have to slam all your components here. Picks here. I don't like blistering strikes in general for anything. Like I think it's okay, but the way I view blistering strikes is sort of like item grab bag that gives you like a red buff, sort of. And because basically what it does is it helps cover one of your bases that you think you need, but the game is still so young because you're gonna get so many different items from what doesn't kill you. You have yet to get the rest of your item drops, and there's other ways you can get. I believe it or not, I think blistering strikes is pretty low value because you can get it through so many sources this set as well as anomalies. So I generally think it's low value. And I actually think that this might be a spot where you would want to take something like mentorship instead. Right? But like you want to actually start thinking about ways you can get value off your silvers at 3-2. And lineup is also not bad either, by the way. It's like it's fine. You could even do something cheeky like put Lux in the second row. It's not a big deal. And
get a little extra value. That's fair.
The reason why we want to pick something here is because we want to decisively streak on stage 3 too, and I think this is just the weakest out of all the options, just personally.
Okay, that's fair.
And man, Zig just keeps hanging out every single.
I know. I really should have like taken the hint. I should have picked him out.
Okay, and then I made one. Oh, I made a note for the next round. Swain wants to be positioned same side as enemy carry, generally speaking, because of the way his crows. So another thing too is we happen to position exactly the worst way for this matchup, and I think we lose. Which is like pretty bad considering that we just gave up our lose streak, and this would have been 6 loss. So this is like a 6 gold swing. I guess you do technically print some of it back, but not a big deal.
No, that's a good point.
Rel needs to be played here because she buffs our Swain. Just as a general rule, you know this, but always play around your item holder. So he's a conqueror, so this is just a little bit of extra stats that are good. And you would probably play this over Steb, and we can finally cut Nunu.
So they could have gotten the Sentinel as well.
Yeah, that's right. And Sentinel is a lot
sense.
better because Loris is your tank holder. So like basically we're not really maximizing either of our item holders. We don't have Sentinel activated on Loris, who dies too fast. Once again, we're positioned wrong side for the Swain. And I think that matters. I think because if the Crows travels to the other side, who knows what would have happened? Maybe they died. I think Belt is the correct pick here. I think you pick Belt at this moment. And Elise, I think Belt is very good. Your frontline items are lacking. And at this point, you should be thinking about, basically finish 3-item carry, which is the most important thing. And Belt's good. And then I think the rest of the stage is fine. I think I made a note that the rest of the stage is fine. Again, I would be holding a lot of other things. I'd be holding the Ziggs, and you would have Ziggs too, and you'd have Blitz and a Mumu, and you'd have like
and
a
that would
couple
have been
different.
good combo.
You would just have like other options, and the thing is, these options aren't divorced from Swain. You could actually make it all work, right? If you have a single Vlad and You can actually tie it all. Like Vlad, Darius, you could tie it all. It's just things to think about when you're playing it, because I know that you were immediately thinking about Swain emissaries, which is totally fine, but you need to be willing to play other stuff. Man, Zig's just it's every shot.
I
Just looking at it, man. I'm
I
just
know.
saying.
I was like, I'm so confused of what to play, but Ziggs is right there.
Yeah.
Something else I just realized that I tend to do sometimes, and I'm trying to figure out how to if it's worth it or not. I tend to like push like buy like XP, even though maybe like I'm not gonna level anytime soon, right? Do you think it's a good idea to maybe hold off on that and just like accumulate your money and then use that to pick up units along the way?
I personally say yes, although sometimes you just need to reduce the complexity of your turn. So hold like if you hold Leona Ezreal because you're like, oh my god, theoretically I could hit Jace and I could do academy pivots. Like you could, but this is sort of like a know your limits type of thing where like I personally actually make this mistake a lot. I might give you advice as to not overload your bandwidth and then do this on stream, but it's because well, one, I can't help myself, but two is because I personally believe I'm not going to get better at it unless I practice at it. So but I would say generally don't like hold things that you don't need. Like for example, actually you're potentially playing all this, but don't hold this Ezreal, Smeej, and Leona. It's
that makes sense.
unnecessary.
That makes sense. Okay, yeah.
So let's watch this roll down.
Okay.
In real time. Okay, wow. Heimer, Ezreal, and Irelia Vlad pair. One thing just to help I this problem as well, but don't even buy Twitch in this spot. You know you're not playing Twitch.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
I see the purple and I'm like, I'll buy.
You should buy this Vlad pair. This Vlad pair is pretty much like the key if you hit Garen. Like Garen, Vlad, Emissary, Black Rose. Like this is actually part of the Emissary core if you play sorcerers, because you play Force Orc with Nami, Swain, Vlad +1, usually LeBlanc. So you need to hold this Vlad pair. But part of it is that your bench is so full so you're not seeing it. So that's like part of the bandwidth thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, man, the Nunu tax just keeps on collecting, man. Because you have Nunu, it highlights it in your shop, and your brain thinks I should buy this Nunu. Just don't, man. This Nunu.
Oh, I know. Literally ruining my own game.
So high.
Oh, but I hit Nunu too. What are you talking about?
Okay, yeah, true.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Any upgrade is valuable here. I stand
no, but you make a good point.
Yeah. Nami here is a lot better than Tristana. Tristana's not doing. I mean, it gives you attack speed, but it's just not. It's Nami in and Lux out. You didn't even check out. You didn't even check the academy though again, because you could actually play an academy setup here. Okay, so here is where I think your game ends up taking a really meaningful turn here. Yeah. And I want to preface this by saying that I think a lot of players would give you different advice here. So if you want a second opinion, I 100% support that. But I think that it's almost certainly never heroic grab bag in this spot, and it's always something like Clockwork Accelerator or Blazing Soul. The way Warwick's Hunger works is that it accelerates the tempo of the game. And so if you're going to take something like heroic grab bag, you need to be in a position where you can use it relatively soon, and we were not. We had 3 Swains. So it's like if we take this heroic grab bag, you would have to hit 3 more Swains within like 15 gold, and that was not going to happen. And if that doesn't happen, because we're about to roll down, that might not happen for the rest of the stage because we're just broke. Versus Blazing Soul and Clockwork Accelerator is kind of like guaranteed combat power. And because also we're playing a composition where it's about a team effort. Like the one thing that is important to recognize about emissaries is always that it's like, yes, there are carries, but it's about like the power of the team, and everyone's going to contribute. And that applies to form stoppers as well, because all of them are pretty good units. In just as a general rule, I mean, you probably know this, but if your boards are like somewhat equal in board value, it's usually combat augments and position that makes a difference. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, so if they're hitting like an equally valued board, Corki 2, Ambessa 2, Garen 2, and you have Nami 3, or you have Swain 3 but no Nami 3, like you're basically equal in board. If they have like 2 combat augments, you're just cooked. You can't do anything.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Okay, but I do agree with rolling down here, sending. That's for sure. On this roll down, you need to, I guess, because you're this is a point where Hero Grabback has kind of tunneled you onto this, but there's no reason why you shouldn't buy Corki in this spot. Corki
Yeah,
just
that
going
makes
immediately,
sense.
and you have bow
Yeah.
sword. Like it's all the reason to click it.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Caitlyn's also a click in this spot. Oh, you did click it. Never mind. Uh, Vi
Yeah.
is also a click with Twist of Fate, right? Because if you hit the Mbessa.
Yep.
And it all goes back to one core principle. Play around our best units on our board, which is the Enforcer, Loris. So like we could have played Vi, we could play Corki, and like set everything up.
Caitlyn. Oh, you're right.
Yeah. So it's like you have options at your disposal, and the most important thing that you should be thinking about in stage 4 in these spots, especially as you're trying to improve the grandmasters, is you are looking for reasons to stop rolling on stage 4. Because you want to get to 9, and you want because if you get stuck on 8, you played previous sets, right, Taylor?
Okay. I started in 8.5, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in previous sets, if you were stuck on level 7, you just like died, right? And you never were ever able. If you're rolling for 4 costs on 7, you were just always gonna be behind. And the way TFT has now raised the cap on inflation of resources, and now you can go to level 10 instead of level 9. The new level being stuck at level 8, in my opinion, is the equivalent of being stuck at level 7. So in this situation, you're always trying to stop rolling, and so and find ways to hedge between making interest gold and keeping the door open to go to 9. But the way you're rolling is like you're expending every single resource. I mean, part of it is because of heroic grab bag, so I understand why. That's sort of going back to why if you picked a different augment, it would have changed the way you rolled. It would have changed the way you built your board. It would have changed the way you had an outlook of going to level 9, if that makes sense. All right. And again, we take out Conqueror here, which is sad to me.
Yeah, you're probably probably should have put in the Mbessa over the Tristana.
Mbessa over Tristana, or you actually Rumble is perfectly fine to play around here. Instead, what you could do is play Nami over Tristana, because what's the worst unit on our board right now? Just look at it real quick.
Oh, I would say it's Lux.
Yes, Lux. So if you sell Lux, play Nami, that actually lets us play Alawi and Rel, and then we have 4 Sentinels, Conqueror, Swain, Emissary, GP, and that leaves us completely open, and we can stop rolling.
Yeah, tunnel vision. Man.
Yeah, and it's easy for me to point out, but
no, of course, but this is important.
And you get to sell Nunu. You get to sell Nunu, and you get to make back 8 gold. It's amazing, man. This amazing thing. You invested in this Nunu. He totally appreciates all you've done for him. It's time to let go, man. It's time to let go. That's all I'm saying. It's time to let go.
But he's been with me for so long.
Also, you can't sell the Nami here if you're trying to play around Emissary, because she is your duo carry. But
yeah, 100%.
Believe it or not, I actually don't think the BT's the best name here, but I put on Rumble because
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I eventually do. I think.
Okay. Got it.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
All right, and now we've officially caught up.
Yeah, I think so I noticed the Rumble, and in my head I'm just like, you know what? Odds are it's not going to happen, but like I can't not hold Rumble pair. Like,
I agree.
In my head.
Yeah, Rumble he would be your duo carry.
Yeah, no, he would be.
This guy's a beast.
Yeah. So so I think I'm like 100% certain I do hold the Rumble. I think I sell the GP anyway.
You don't need to sell because Warwick's Hunger. Just keep.
Oh no, you're exactly right. That's exactly what happens. Yeah.
No, it's okay. That's it. Goes back to sort of the very core principle. It's like I think you understand conceptually what is important about Warwick's Hunger, but in practice you have to kind of change the way you approach it.
It's like reps, right? Like you have to do more reps of it. Yeah. So here in my mind, I'm not even thinking about components necessarily. I'm just like, I see a Jace, and I'm like, I want that Jace because that gives me 4 form swapper, which is really strong.
Agreed. I think this is very, very important.
And the Lux can go. I think I still keep the doo-doo, but the Lux is gone.
Great.
So that's kind of where I end up here with my comp is like, I see 4 form swapper. I'm like, okay, that's really good. I think in my head, I'm trying to think of like whether I want to try to. I think in my mind, I want to sell some units to make some econ either to go 9 or to roll down again. I forget what I end up doing, but that's kind of my thought process. I want to, make some money. Again.
I agree. I actually really like the sell on the Mbessa and just giving up on it because very realistically, if you don't even have items for the emissaries, and now when you're playing form swappers, who wants to take the items? I'm gonna watch how you do this, and then we can talk about it after.
Sure, sounds good.
Magic training, repulsor, nothing wasted.
Yep.
Did you consider this on anyone else besides Swain? Okay, probably not. You
I
have the
did. I
heroic
didn't.
grab
I
bag.
did not.
Okay.
But were you thinking of
Thinking about
Rumble?
Jace, just because
Oh,
form
Jace.
swarm,
Okay.
but you don't have items for Jace, and also you have three duplicators, so now we're committed to it. And again, I
Yeah.
don't actually
Yeah.
think the heroic grab bag is bad. I think it just changed. It's just like the situation that you're in. You could very
Yeah.
much argue that you're putting yourself in a do or die situation when you didn't have to. All things considering, your spot's actually pretty good.
Hmm.
I think that this is one of those games where you actually can cap pretty high,
Despite.
despite not
Yeah.
having an augment for stage 4.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, we have a few more rounds to go.
yeah.
So hopefully we'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
Oh, one
Yeah.
thing to consider, by the way, that I'm not
Hmm.
seeing you prioritize is part of why I've been kind of insistent on getting Conqueror in is not just like getting the stacks
Hmm.
or sorry, not getting the stats, but the stacks
Yes.
CKS at 100 gives you a duplicator as well.
Yes. That's a really. No,
So it's just something
that's an
that
excellent
like
point.
by skipping rel and like not putting prior like we've just lost on like 40, 50 stacks, and it's just one of those things where like you might get the duplicator. Oh my god, you might
Yeah.
get the
No.
duplicator
That's.
just right there. Oh, you got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, beast mode.
Yeah. I somehow, and then I think at this point I'm deciding like, okay, I think I'm just gonna. Wait, do I make 3-star swing? Anyway, but yeah, I 2-star my Rumble, which is
Yeah,
insane.
yeah,
Like that's really lucky. So
okay,
that helped. That saved me. I'll be honest. Like
yeah, yeah,
from
yeah.
going bot 4.
And this is Hodge. Oh,
Oh no, it
okay.
was not. I think I did Vow because I think for some reason I was thinking I want him to cast sooner.
Okay, I mean that's that was a decent item on Rumble as well. I just like I like itemizing him as a carry. I think in these kind of situations that gets punished the higher elo you go. You need to
Right.
decisively spike here because everyone else just
Yeah.
spiked. I mean, you did spike
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Rumble
Yeah.
too, but like I mean, people are spiking like really hard and life count matters like a lot in these kinds of
Right.
situations.
Dude,
And then
life.
another thing too to consider is that itemization could be optimized like a lot because you have removers, but you had a lot to do that turn, so I don't even blame you. Oh, and then I wanted to talk about this is that have you been keeping track of what doesn't kill you counters as well? But if
Yeah.
you were to itemize, if you could like hard item, if you have golden remover and you have infinite time,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that you would probably think about like putting like changing your items a little bit here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like BT shouldn't have to
Um,
be on Loris, for example.
yeah. I think I forget when I do it. I think I do. Okay, I do remove
Okay.
it and put it on. Yeah. But yeah,
Ah,
no, you make a good point though of like it's really tricky for what doesn't kill you because like I know other augments that'll have like X number of turns or X number of this till you get a like a cash out. I forget if it has it on it or maybe I'm misremembering
got it,
how
got
what
it.
doesn't kill you works. I just forget sometimes.
I know you're going for Loris 3, but you have to remember that Loris is a support unit here. He's not your main tank. I mean, hell, we don't even have
Yeah.
Enforcer on him.
Yeah.
So you need to be itemizing Elise here. Because she's 4 form swapper, she has 40% durability. So giving her
Yeah.
Warmogs and that makes her cast twice, even at 1-star
Mhm.
sometimes. Especially if you have
Mhm.
like the right positioning.
Mhm.
Also, you're like tossing her to the wolves, man.
I
She's
know,
just like
I know.
thrown right here. She's just gonna get blown up. Oh no.
Yeah, no stun, no CC, just
I mean, she might
completely
CC
shredded.
Caitlyn, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, does she
That's
cast?
a good point.
Oh yeah,
I think
yeah.
I probably I think yeah, I think for some reason I was like on like, hey, Loris. Oh, I almost have Loris 3. That's got to be better than
Yeah.
nothing. And
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
probably
fair
right.
enough.
You're definitely right though of like the form swapper was the main trait. The tank of that realistic is
Yeah.
Elise.
If
Yeah,
we could
that makes
reframe
sense.
another way, if we stopped another frame another way, let's actually go back and count here.
Yeah.
But at 5-1, once we hit this, we could sell to 10, so we'd be at 10. Let's add this. So we'd be at 18. We would have Swain 3. We stop rolling.
Yeah.
18. We would make 3 more goals to be at 21. 21
Mhm.
makes 2 plus 2. So just keep that in mind. So now we're at this minus 5, 9. So it'd be at 32. And you win these 2 fights. And you didn't even need
Yeah.
Dolores 3.
Yeah.
And so and you got plus 3 goals, so that's 35. And then you get this into interest, which is you'd be at like 45 gold right now.
Yeah. With,
Okay, you did
level
hit
9.
Loris 3, but you actually
Yeah.
had the angle to go to 9 here.
Yeah.
And I have to ask you a
think,
question ahead of time. Did this Loris 3 meaningfully change your placement?
Man, I'm getting
It did-
more dogged again.
Not really. No.
I mean, it might have.
Maybe
It
a
could be
little
yes.
bit, but like I think I think that's a good question to ask. I think like the right strategy probably was to go to 9 and to like stick with the Loris 2 for the till I got to 9 and then swap to Elise 2.
Right.
Once I tried to hit. Yeah, I think that was the play for sure. I could have probably had even more econ because I think like
yeah, because we hit Loris 3 and we lost. That feels even worse. All good. And then also really small thing as well. I didn't point out because I wasn't sure if you did it, but if you're gonna be playing GP2 versus Jace1, you should give the red buff to Jace because his buff is much more important, and GP1 with no items, no AD doesn't really do anything. So
yeah, I think I'm just looking for GP3.
Yeah, I mean, I understand GP3 4 form swapper is great, but we also only have one item for him. So
yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
Gunblade, I guess is. Okay, I mean it's fine. It's
I know. At this point, I have no like. It's just it is what it is. I picked that. I definitely would not pick that again for sure. Agreed. Overall, I think it's just the Rumble saved me a lot for sure.
Okay, yeah,
that helped me a lot.
Just like really subtle thing, but like I don't think you moved this Swain the entirety of the game since you hit him.
No, I did.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and just click and just like look through.
Oh,
and that's okay. You had a lot to think about. You had a lot of APM intensive turns. Yeah. Like, man, you're making it way too easy for these guys. They just position. Have you noticed that they position their carry in the top right every single time, except for the Twitch when he has to? But like every enemy carries top right, and Swain was never able to do it. So.
Yeah. Now that you're going through the video, it's hard not to see that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So,
yeah. I think that's something I definitely want to work on as well. Is like
for sure.
understanding the unit, where to position it. I think I sometimes struggle with that.
Here's the thing, man. If you look at descriptions on team builders, they don't even tell you the full story, because it's a form swapper. I mean, I would say definitely do that, but also like just study some people play it, and it might help you understand it a little bit more. You know, very subtle things change things profoundly. If you put it another way, are you a fan of sports? Any specific sport?
I am not, unfortunately.
Okay, but let's use the idea of American football. Even if your specific tackle or lineman is off by like a foot or two or a yard or two, that is a profound inefficiency for how the play sets up. And the same way, you can have 3-star Swain, 3-star GP, but if they're positioned improperly, they're only working at 70% efficiency. They're basically going to be it's going to be a lot worse. So think about how to optimize your carries a lot of times.
Yeah, no, thank you. I really, really appreciate you taking the time. Obviously, this helped a lot. I have a lot of great things to think about. I'll probably rewatch this again, just to kind of like review and take some more notes because a lot of great things you suggested that I didn't even consider. Yeah. Thank you again. I really appreciate it. And yeah, just want to say as well, thank you again for all the stuff you do with TFT Academy and your stream. I really appreciate it. I like watching it and consuming the content. It's really
I didn't even pay him to say that, guys. I didn't even
No,
pay him.
I'm not a paid chatter. Not a paid chatter.
He subbed to me. He pays me to say that. Yeah. That's right. Paying chatter.
Paying chatter.
New emote just dropped.
Exactly.
No, thank you so much for supporting. You're always in chat, and thanks for always hanging out and being a big part of the community. I'm glad you won. You're a very deserving member. And I hope that this is just the beginning of your improvement arc, man. I think you show a lot of good ideas. Listening to you talk had made me feel like I didn't have to help correct too much ideas, or at least, obviously you can improve like a lot of different things, but it was a really good foundation. You have a good foundation of TFT compared to a lot of other people I talk to who just like, I honestly don't think they're thinking very much, but it's clear that you are putting thought into things. So,
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really do.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Have a good rest of your day and hope that you have a good start to your first weekend.
Awesome. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your stream.
All right.
Bye-bye.